Part 1. Introduction: The Silent Battle Within. There are two kinds of battles we all face in life. One is loud, visible, and external, the fight against obstacles, setbacks, and the world around us. But the other? It's invisible, silent, and far more dangerous. It's the battle inside our own minds. The hidden struggle. You can look completely fine on the outside, showing up to work, smiling at friends, scrolling through your phone, but deep down, you may be silently drowning in self-doubt, overthinking, and emotional fatigue. And here's the thing: most suffering doesn't come from what actually happens to us. It comes from how we interpret it, dwell on it, and let it loop endlessly in our minds. That single critical thought? That was stupid of me. Left unchecked, it mutates into, I always mess things up. Then, I'm not good enough. Until eventually, you don't even question it anymore. It becomes your truth. Why inner battles are more dangerous. Unlike physical wounds, mental wounds don't always bleed, but they do spread, and if we don't train ourselves to spot them early, they can shape how we see the world and ourselves for years. Enter Stoicism, ancient mental armor. Thousands of years ago, ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca faced war, slavery, exile, and loss. Yet their greatest concern wasn't the chaos outside them. It was the chaos within. They taught a radical idea. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Real strength begins with mastering your thoughts. This wasn't just philosophy. It was psychological training, long before modern psychology existed. Why this video matters. In this video, we're going to explore 9 Stoic strategies, not abstract ideas, but practical tools to help you dismantle negative thinking, one belief at a time. Because when you learn to win the battle inside, the outside world no longer controls you. Let's begin. Part 2. Chapter Analysis: 9 Stoic Lessons. Lesson 1. You are not your thoughts. Opening: the mental illusion. Here's a question most people rarely ask themselves. Are your thoughts you, or are they just passing mental events? We often say things like, I'm anxious, I'm a failure, I can't handle this. But pause for a moment. What if you rephrased those as, I'm having a thought that I'm anxious. A thought just popped up that says I'm failing. Do you feel the difference? Main idea: detaching from thought. One of the foundational lessons in Stoicism and in modern cognitive behavioral psychology is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Thoughts are mental weather. They come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. Some are bright and clear, others are dark and stormy, but none of them define you, unless you identify with them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it simply: it isn't events that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, the world doesn't hurt us, our interpretation of the world does. Practical tools. How to practice this. Here are 2 practical techniques you can start using today. 1. Thought journaling. Write your thoughts down and question them. Ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Will this matter in 5 years? This simple habit can disrupt the autopilot of negative thinking. 2. Cognitive reframing. Instead of saying, I'm angry, say, I'm noticing a feeling of anger. This shift in language creates space, and in that space lies power. Conclusion: a new mental framework. When you learn to separate who you are from what you think, you gain access to something powerful. Choice. The choice to respond instead of react. The choice to reframe instead of ruminate. And the choice to move forward, even when your mind wants to stay stuck. This is not about denying your thoughts. It's about realizing that you are more than them. Let's keep going. In the next lesson, we'll explore why emotions are messengers, not enemies, and how Stoicism helps us decode what they're trying to say. Lesson 2: Stop arguing with reality. Small diamond opening, the hidden source of suffering. Let me ask you this. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, "This shouldn't be happening. This isn't fair. This wasn't part of the plan"? These thoughts seem harmless, but in reality, they're the seed of prolonged suffering. Why? Because the pain of life is often unavoidable, but our resistance to it, that's what multiplies the pain. Think of it like this. You're walking outside and it suddenly starts raining. You can stand there, frustrated, soaked, thinking, this is ruining my day. Or, you can say, well, I'm wet, let's keep moving. Same situation, but two entirely different levels of suffering. Small diamond core principle. Reality always wins. Here's the Stoic insight. Pain is part of life. Suffering begins the moment we argue with what is. The ancient Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, embraced a mindset called amor fati, which means love of fate. It's not just acceptance. It's the radical idea of embracing what happens, not just the pleasant, but the painful too, as something necessary, meaningful, and even instructive. This doesn't mean you like everything that happens, but it means you stop wasting energy fighting reality. As modern psychology confirms, resistance to emotions and events is one of the main drivers of chronic stress. The more we say, "This shouldn't have happened," the more trapped we become in denial, resentment, and paralysis. Small diamond practical tool, the mental reframe. When you catch yourself spiraling into frustration or rumination, try this simple two-step reframe. Step 1. Acknowledge it. Okay, this happened. Step 2. Ask yourself, so now what? This mindset repositions you from a powerless victim of circumstances to an empowered agent of change, someone who acts within the reality they're given, not the one they wish they had. Small diamond conclusion. From control to clarity. Stoicism teaches a liberating truth. Peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from accepting what you can't control and acting wisely with what you can. When we stop resisting the rain, we begin to walk freely again. When we stop arguing with what should have happened, we start focusing on what can happen next. And that's where true mental strength begins, not in dominance over the world, but in harmony with it. Coming up next, we'll look at why emotions are signals, not enemies, and how Stoics dealt with fear, anger, and grief without suppressing or being ruled by them. Lesson 3: Don't trust the first emotion. Small diamond introduction. The deceptive power of first reactions. How many times have you regretted something you said or did, just a few minutes after an emotional outburst? You might have felt angry, disappointed, anxious, or even overjoyed, only to realize later you misread the situation entirely. This is why the Stoics warned us, don't trust the first emotion. It's not because emotions are bad, but because the first wave of emotion is a reflex, not a reasoned response. It's a reaction, fast, loud, and often exaggerated. Small diamond core principle: emotions are signals, not facts. Here's what Stoicism teaches us. Emotions are not final truths. They are messengers, not masters. Marcus Aurelius, writing as the Emperor of Rome, reminded himself daily, keep an untroubled spirit, look things in the face and know them for what they are. He wasn't trying to suppress emotion. He was teaching himself to pause before letting emotion define his action. This is backed by modern psychology. Neuroscience shows that the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, reacts faster than the rational brain. It's designed for survival, not clarity. That's why when we feel threatened, embarrassed, or overwhelmed, our first response is rarely our wisest one. Small diamond practical tools. How to create emotional distance. To manage your emotions like a Stoic. Try these mental habits. Label, then challenge. Say to yourself, I feel angry, but that doesn't mean I need to yell. Or, I feel anxious, but that doesn't mean this situation is dangerous. Naming the emotion helps create a buffer between you and the reaction. Use the view from above technique. Imagine you're looking at your situation from 30,000 feet. Will this matter in a week? A year? Zooming out shrinks emotional intensity and boosts rational clarity. Remember the pause phrase. Let me wait before I react. Even 10 seconds of space can make the difference between chaos and calm. Small diamond conclusion. Emotional maturity is trained, not inherited. True emotional strength isn't about never feeling anything. It's about knowing that your first feeling is not your final decision. Like training a muscle, this takes repetition, but over time, you begin to trust your judgment, not your impulses. Coming up next, we'll explore how Stoics transformed setbacks into strength, and why the worst moment in your life could become your most powerful teacher. Lesson 4: The stories you tell create your pain. Small diamond introduction. Pain from perception, not reality. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever felt hurt, not because of what actually happened, but because of what you thought it meant? Maybe someone didn't text you back. Factually, all that happened is no reply. But then your mind jumps in with a story. They're ignoring me. They must not care. Suddenly, you're not just dealing with silence. You're dealing with rejection, self-doubt, and spiraling pain, all of which came from the story, not the reality. This is one of the most powerful insights in Stoicism, and one of the hardest to apply. Small diamond core principle. Interpretation creates suffering. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "You have the power to revoke your estimate at any moment." In other words, you don't have to believe everything you think. You can pause, observe your mental reaction, and question the story you're telling yourself. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy echoes this idea. Psychologists call it cognitive distortion, the brain's tendency to jump to conclusions, assume the worst, or catastrophize. But if we can challenge those distortions, we reduce unnecessary suffering. Small diamond practical tools. How to separate story from reality. Here are 3 techniques to apply this Stoic principle. Identify the raw facts versus the story. Fact: they haven't replied in 24 hours. Story: they're avoiding me. See the difference? One is data, the other is interpretation. Question your narrative. Ask yourself, is this the only possible explanation? Is there evidence for the story I'm telling? What else might be true? Reframe your internal dialogue. Instead of, they're ignoring me, try, I don't know what's happening on their end. This keeps your mind grounded in reality rather than assumption. Small diamond conclusion. You are the editor of your inner narrative. We are all storytellers, constantly narrating our experiences to ourselves. The question is, are you writing a story that helps you grow, or one that keeps you stuck? Stoicism doesn't ask you to deny reality, it invites you to see it clearly. Stripped of unnecessary drama. You can't always control what happens, but you can always rewrite the story you attach to it. In the next chapter, we'll explore how the Stoics turned setbacks into strength and why obstacles, properly understood, can become the way forward. Lesson 5. Your environment feeds your inner dialogue. Small diamond introduction, the invisible influence. Take a moment to consider this. What's the first thing you see when you wake up? Who do you talk to most often? What kind of content do you consume? Most people assume their thoughts arise independently, as if from nowhere. But in reality, our inner dialogue is constantly being shaped, not just by what we think, but by what surrounds us. From the people we interact with, to the content we scroll through, to the physical space we live in, everything in our environment leaves a mental fingerprint. The Stoics knew this. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with people who improve you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." In other words, your surroundings are not neutral. They're either shaping you or distorting you. Small diamond core insight. Environment shapes mindset. Let's break this down into 3 key sources of influence. 1. People. We become like those we spend time with. This is known in modern psychology as emotional contagion. If you're around cynics and complainers, negativity spreads. If you're around calm, intentional thinkers, that becomes your norm. 2. Media and information. The mind consumes what it sees. A constant stream of outrage, gossip, or fear-based news doesn't just inform, it programs. If your feed is filled with judgment, conflict, or distraction, that becomes your mental baseline. 3. Physical space. Cluttered room, cluttered mind. Studies show that disorganized environments increase cortisol and reduce focus. Even small changes, like light, noise, or tidiness, can have outsized effects on your state of mind. Small diamond practical tools. Detox. Simplify. Realign. To apply this lesson, try these simple but powerful Stoic-aligned habits. Audit your inputs. Make a list of the top 5 people you interact with and top 5 types of content you consume. Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Try a 7-day detox. For just 1 week, step away from gossip, toxic media, drama-filled conversations, and clutter. Replace them with silence, clean surroundings, and intentional reading or reflection. Simplify your physical world. Clean your workspace. Reduce visual distractions. Organize your routines. The clearer your space, the calmer your mind becomes. Small diamond conclusion. Build a mind-shaping ecosystem. Just like a plant grows better in rich soil and sunlight, your mind thrives in a supportive environment. You don't need perfect conditions, but you do need intentional ones. You're not just a product of your thoughts. You're a product of your inputs. The Stoic path begins not just with thinking differently, but with surrounding yourself with what helps you think clearly. In the next lesson, we'll explore how turning obstacles into opportunities isn't just a mindset shift. It's a practical life strategy rooted in ancient philosophy. Lesson 6: You're tired, not broken. Opening. A common misdiagnosis. Have you ever had one of those days where everything feels heavy, your thoughts, your emotions, even your smallest decisions? It's easy in those moments to believe something's wrong with us, that we're not thinking clearly because we're failing, flawed, or broken. But here's a reframe worth considering. What if you're not broken, you're just tired? Mental exhaustion mimics despair. Fatigue amplifies negative thoughts. And most dangerously, tired minds create false stories, and we start to believe them. Main idea: fatigue distorts perception. Modern psychology confirms what Stoics sensed centuries ago. When we're depleted, our brain's ability to regulate emotion and interpret reality becomes impaired. We're more likely to misread neutral events as personal attacks, overreact to minor stressors, fall into patterns of catastrophic thinking. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. But here's the nuance. That estimate is often made under stress. When our system is running on empty. Practical Stoic insight. Rest is wisdom. In a culture that glorifies productivity, rest is often dismissed as laziness. But Stoicism teaches self-mastery, not self-destruction. Rest is not a retreat. It's a recalibration. Instead of digging deeper into self-criticism, the wiser move is often to pause, not analyze. You don't need more reflection. You need restoration. Recovery tools that align with Stoic practice. To support mental clarity and resilience, consider the following. Prioritize sleep, not just more hours, but higher quality rest. Take nature walks. Exposure to natural environments lowers cortisol and improves mood. Say no more often. Set boundaries to protect your energy, not just your time. Write your worries down. Externalizing stress through journaling helps separate thoughts from facts. Notice the signs of burnout and treat them as signals, not character flaws. Conclusion: fatigue is a message, not a verdict. The Stoics taught us to listen, not just to logic, but to the rhythms of nature and the body. Burnout is not a weakness, it's a message. It's a reminder to slow down, step back, and recalibrate your internal compass. So next time your inner voice turns dark or doubtful, don't rush to fix yourself. Instead, ask, am I broken or just in need of rest? Lesson 7. Gratitude kills negativity. Introduction. The hidden antidote to mental chaos. Have you ever noticed how one negative thought can spiral into a cascade of frustration, comparison, or hopelessness? Like a mental domino effect, a single moment of dissatisfaction can consume your entire emotional state. But what if there was a simple, accessible tool that could interrupt that downward spiral? That tool is gratitude. And according to both ancient Stoicism and modern neuroscience, gratitude isn't just a feel-good sentiment. It's a strategy, a way to disrupt negativity, widen your perspective, and reclaim control over your internal narrative. 1. The Stoic foundation: wanting less, appreciating more. Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "The man who craves more is poor." This quote flips the modern notion of abundance on its head. In Stoic philosophy, wealth isn't measured by accumulation, but by appreciation. Gratitude, in this view, is not a passive feeling. It's a discipline. It trains the mind to see clearly, without the distortion of constant craving. Entitlement, or dissatisfaction, when you anchor your focus on what you have, rather than what you lack, you effectively cut off the fuel source for negative thought loops like envy, anxiety, and resentment. 2. A practice backed by psychology. Modern research supports what the Stoics knew over 2,000 years ago. Regular gratitude practice has been shown to reduce stress, improve sleep, strengthen relationships, and even rewire the brain toward optimism. One method is incredibly simple. Each day, write down 3 small things you're grateful for. Not the big, dramatic achievements, just the quiet moments. A kind word, clean water, the ability to breathe deeply. Why does this work? Because attention shapes emotion. By choosing to observe the light, you don't deny the dark, you simply create mental space for both. 3. Gratitude is a choice, not a denial. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain. It's about refusing to be defined by it. You can acknowledge hardship while still affirming, I control the story. I choose peace over panic. This affirmation isn't naive, it's an act of power. A declaration that while you may not control circumstances, you absolutely control your interpretation. Ask yourself, what if the obstacle isn't what's blocking your path, but what's showing you a better one? Gratitude reframes the moment. It reminds you of how much you've already overcome. Conclusion. Train the lens of the mind. In a world wired to highlight problems and amplify fear, gratitude is a quiet revolution. It shifts your mindset from scarcity to sufficiency, from panic to presence. It's not a one-time insight, it's a daily exercise in awareness and intention. So today, try this. Pause, breathe, and write down just 3 things. However small, however ordinary. Because in choosing what to focus on, you're choosing how to live. Lesson 8. Focus is a superpower in a distracted world. Introduction. The war for your attention. In today's hyper-connected world, distraction isn't just a nuisance, it's a lifestyle. From the moment we wake up, our attention is pulled in a dozen directions: social media updates, breaking news, constant notifications. But here's the truth no one tells you. Your attention is your most valuable asset. And if you don't protect it, someone else will monetize it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "You become what you give your attention to." And modern science agrees. What we repeatedly focus on literally rewires our brain. So the question is, are you shaping your mind? Or is the world shaping it for you? Main body. What focus really means. Let's break this down into 3 simple but powerful insights. 1. Your focus shapes your identity. According to Epictetus, attention is destiny. If you constantly dwell on what frustrates you, you become frustration. If your day is filled with negativity, outrage, or noise, don't be surprised when anxiety becomes your baseline. This isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. Neuroplasticity shows that repeated focus strengthens the neural pathways you use most. You are literally becoming what you habitually think about. 2. Modern science confirms it. Psychology studies reveal that constant context switching, The kind we do when checking our phones every few minutes, lowers working memory, increases stress, and reduces long-term happiness. Concepts like deep work and flow state are gaining traction for a reason. People crave undistracted clarity in a chaotic world. 3. How to reclaim your focus. Start your day tech-free. Avoid social media or emails for at least the first 30 to 60 minutes. Block out 60-minute deep work sessions. No notifications, no interruptions, just one task. Audit your attention. At the end of the week, ask, where did my focus go? What did it cost me? Conclusion: choose your attention. Choose your life. You are not powerless in this. Focus isn't a fixed trait, it's a practiced skill. And in a world addicted to noise, the ability to concentrate is a superpower. So ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind? Because whatever you give your attention to, that's what grows. You become what you give your attention to. Choose wisely. Epictetus. Lesson 9. Self-discipline is self-respect. Introduction. The misunderstood power of discipline. Let's start with a hard truth. Self-discipline is often misunderstood. Many people hear the word and immediately think of strict routines, cold rigidity, or even self-punishment. But that's not what it really is. In both ancient Stoic wisdom and modern psychology, self-discipline is actually an act of self-respect. It's a daily vote in favor of your long-term well-being. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. In other words, discipline isn't restriction, it's liberation. It's the path out of chaos and into clarity. Main body. Why discipline equals self-respect. Let's unpack this through 3 key insights. 1. Stoic insight. Mastering impulse, not emotion. The Stoics never denied emotion. They denied enslavement to it. They taught that freedom isn't the ability to do whatever you feel, but the strength to not be ruled by every passing impulse. When you choose not to binge watch at 2 a.m., not to lash out in anger, or not to scroll endlessly through social media, you're not being harsh. You're saying to yourself, I deserve more than this. 2. Modern psychology. Long-term happiness isn't about IQ or looks. Studies have found that self-control has a stronger correlation with long-term success and happiness than IQ, talent, or even physical appearance. Why? Because self-discipline enhances our sense of agency. It gives us the ability to delay gratification, to resist temptations, and to work toward goals that actually matter. 3. Practical tools to build self-discipline. Start small with a keystone habit. Whether it's going to bed on time, exercising for 20 minutes, or doing 5 minutes of meditation, these foundational habits create momentum. Write down the why behind the change. If you're trying to stop a bad habit, don't just focus on the behavior. Understand the identity you're building. Are you becoming a calm person? A focused parent? A healthy leader? Conclusion. Discipline is a promise to your future self. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're sending a message to your future self. I've got your back. You're saying, I will show up. I will protect your time, your energy, your peace. In a world that constantly pulls you toward quick fixes and shallow rewards, discipline is how you reclaim your power. Not for perfection, but for progress. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. Part 3. Conclusion. Awareness is the first step. Introduction. The power of awareness. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the most important step toward reclaiming your mind, awareness. In a world where distraction is constant and emotional reactivity is normalized, simply noticing your thoughts is a quiet but radical act. And in both Stoic philosophy and modern psychology, this kind of self-observation isn't weakness. It's power. You can't change what you don't first notice. And once you become the observer of your inner life, instead of being ruled by it, everything begins to shift. Main insight: growth over perfection. Let's be clear. Stoicism does not demand that you be perfect. It doesn't ask you to eliminate every negative emotion or always make the perfect decision. Instead, it invites you to engage in life with clarity, courage, and intention. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Modern cognitive therapy echoes this. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. When you can pause and ask, is this thought helpful? Or, is this fear actually true? That's not avoidance. That's authorship. That's where freedom begins. Core reminder: you are the editor, not the enemy. Your thoughts don't define you. Your fear isn't your identity. Even your worst day doesn't reflect your worth. You are not the pain, the fear, or the chaos. You are the observer, the author, and the editor of your story. The goal isn't to silence the mind but to steer it, with wisdom, discipline, and compassion. Daily affirmations recap. Let's close by anchoring these truths with 5 Stoic-inspired affirmations. Use them whenever negativity creeps in. I am stronger than my negative thoughts. I accept reality and I grow from it. I pause. I choose. I don't react blindly. I control the story. I choose peace over panic. I am not broken. I am just resting. Each one is a reminder. You are not here to be perfect. You're here to be present, to grow, to rise, again and again. If this message spoke to you, even just one line, consider sharing it with someone who might need it too. Like the video to support this kind of mindful content, and subscribe for more ancient wisdom made practical. Your journey isn't alone. We're building a modern Stoic community, one insight at a time.